recently it has come to my attention. Well, it's actually been happening for a while. A lot of old WWE legends have voiced their opinions about internet sweethearts. Now, the issue I have here isn't with the legends. I think the legends make great points. The issue at hand here, a lot of internet fans are bashing and burying and calling all these legends bitter for simply stating their opinion on what superstars are. Like, I remember, I think the first time that I saw something like this was right after WrestleMania 32 when someone asked what Chavo Guerrero thought of Sasha Banks' homage to Eddie Guerrero at WrestleMania, and he put a thumbs down emoji. And that just sparked an outrage because all these internet people know Eddie Guerrero way better than Chavo ever did. So they know better as to how great her homage was to Eddie more than Chavo does. And then it kept going after that. After that, Bret Hart's WrestleMania 32 review came out. And he went on, he buried the ladder match, he buried Sami Zayn, and he actually made valid points as to why he hates all these people. But again, all the Smarks decide that they know better than what Bret Hart knows. They know everything about the business. They know the ins and outs of everything. And they'll tell you until they're... You know, a great man once said, they'll tell you until they're blue in the face that they know better than you do. Then there's Vince Russo, who, I mean, but say what you want about his booking ability, say what you want about his WCW stuff. When you watch his videos, you notice that the guy makes actual valid points as to why he doesn't like anything. And this came true after WrestleMania 32 because at that point he started bashing the WWE for the direction that they were going in. He was bashing the NXT guys. He was bashing the indie guys. And he wasn't bashing them because he thought they sucked. Like, he said, basically, I remember perfectly, he said, Sami Zayn does not have a character. He was thrown out there against John Cena in his debut, and, you know, he was supposed to be introduced. What are the casual fans thinking when they're watching this? What are the people that don't watch NXT thinking when they're watching this random guy that everyone all of a sudden is cheering for, but you don't know who he is, and you got no introduction to who he was, you got no hype-up videos, you got no nothing, but all of a sudden you're supposed to believe that this guy is this big deal who's supposed to beat John Cena or has a chance to beat John Cena. Like, I think he said that in the eyes of a casual fan that didn't watch NXT, Sami Zayn was nothing more than a local competitor with entrance music. And that's exactly what he was. I mean, they didn't get any introduction to him, and he was kind of just like introduced out of nowhere, so it was just weird. But then more recently, it was Animal. Animal's the one that said Sasha Banks is being over pushed right now. She's being shoved down your throat. And all of a sudden, Smarks are saying that, no, you know, fuck, Sasha, we like Sasha Banks, you know, she can be shoved down our throats. You can put her on every segment, that's okay. But if you do that with someone like Sheamus or Rusev or Roman Reigns, no, they're being shoved down your throat. They're not letting them systematically get over. Like, what? Well, didn't Sasha Banks just debut, like, last year? And she wasn't even on TV, like, she wasn't even built up properly. And I said that this was one of my issues with Sasha Banks earlier in the year, that they're literally keeping her off TV because they know you're going to cheer for them regardless, instead of systematically building up their credibility and making them into something in the eyes of a casual fan. You know what I mean? Like, one thing about the WWE on the mainstream platform, like on Raw and on SmackDown, is that it's not just the Smarks show anymore. It's not just NXT. You guys aren't the only ones that are watching this show. There's people that watch Raw and SmackDown that don't know about NXT, don't watch NXT. Whatever the reason may be, not everyone watches NXT. So what you need in these situations is an introduction to these type of characters and a way to build up their credibility. And Animal sort of alluded to that in that sense, saying that she's being over pushed right now because she never really had a feud. She didn't, in fact, actually, yeah, the Smarks buried Roman Reigns for never getting a feud really before he won the Royal Rumble, even though he had that feud with Randy Orton. But Sasha Banks never had any feud aside from maybe that small one she had with Team Bad before she got thrusted into the main event of WrestleMania. You kind of see where Animal was coming from in that situation. He made a lot of good, valid points. But yet, again, Smarks are quick to point the finger at him and think that they know better than him and call him bitter, just like they call everyone that calls out their fucking favorites bitter. JR made at least a somewhat valid point as to why Roman Reigns shouldn't be in the main event right now. And I at least looked at that with a state of mind, like, okay, JR probably knows more than I do, so in that sense, he's probably right. And I think it was after he won the Royal Rumble that he said that, you know what, the guy's not ready yet. And to that, I countered, he wasn't ready, but the storyline was there for him. Like, that storyline was perfect for him to be the one to dethrone the Beast because the fans had loved him up until that point. So there was at least some valid points that JR made at that point. But no, once you get into this whole thing with the Smarks, hearing about their favorites being buried and everything, it becomes a whole thing where this person is bitter. I know better than this person. I know more about the ins and outs of the business than this person. But no, these Smarks think they know more than Ric Flair just because Ric Flair said that Finn Bálor will never main event WrestleMania. Smarks are always quick, like someone like Mick Foley or JR will agree with what they say, like who they like, back up all the points that they try to make in a much more elegant fashion. And then they'll say, oh, look, you know, a great mind of the business like JR, the greatest announcer of all time, or the most hardcore guy of all time like Mick Foley, agrees with what we say. At that point, you guys say, oh, look, yeah, that guy has a great brain for the business. You know, he agrees with what he say. But then other guys who have great brains for the business, like a Ric Flair, like an Animal, like a Bret Hart, who are actually there, say something that goes against what you believe. All of a sudden, they're these bitter old men who should just go ahead and die, right? And it's like you guys think that you know more than Ric Flair, when Ric Flair himself says he knows what draws money. He himself draws money, believe it or not. And he himself said that Finn Bálor versus Seth Rollins would not sell. And I know you're going to give me that crap that, you know, Rey Mysterio shattered that mold years ago. But you got to understand, Rey Mysterio didn't get that push because he was this ultimate underdog babyface. The reason he got that push was because Eddie Guerrero passed away and they were trying to live on Eddie Guerrero's legacy through Rey Mysterio. But he was never really a main event caliber superstar. And ever since then, you never saw someone that small main event anything really. But again, even with Daniel Bryan, is, like I've said multiple times, was a very special case. He had a great storyline to go along with his push that people built up to it, and he got so over because of his chant that people just couldn't help but love the guy. And even then, like, you can tell that after he won the title, there wasn't much for him to do after that. Like, once he actually got to the mountaintop, there was nothing left for him to do. He had the filler feud with Kane, and then he got injured. And I honestly believe that one of the reasons that the fans miss him as much as they do is because they had him ripped away just as he was reaching his peak, or just as he reached his peak. I think that if Daniel Bryan would have stuck around for longer, but they would have gotten a little bit tired, and the whole frenzy, the whole yes movement would have kind of simmered down. Kind of like it did in 2015, actually, when he was going in the mid-card. Like, the honeymoon phase had kind of started to fizzle out, and had he stayed a little longer, it would have just completely gone out, just completely disintegrated. For Ric Flair to make these points, if you think you honestly know more than Ric Flair does about the ins and outs of the business, go fuck yourself. And it's not bad enough that it's like you guys will believe, quote unquote, believe some of the legends, and you will take their word for it, but you won't take the word of others. That's bad enough. But then what makes it even worse is that there's people that will, what the Smarks will do is, like, perfect examples, Mick Foley, he praised either Eva Marie or the Bellas, I can't remember which one. The Smarks were just jumped all over him, saying that, you know, oh, he's stupid, he's bitter, he doesn't know about talent, He doesn't know anything about anything. He probably fucking lost a brain cell along with that tooth in that ear of his. And then later on, you know, there was a rant he went on about Raw where he said Raw sucks and they should push Sami Zayn to the moon. And then after that, Smarks were like, yeah, see, Mick Foley knows exactly what he's talking about. You know, I've always liked Mick Foley. He's always been a really smart guy. So it's bad enough that the Smarks will flip-flop and take some legends' advice over the others or take some words over the others. But then they have the same guy literally, you know, burying one thing that they also hate, and they'll praise him saying he's super smart, but then they'll praise something that they hate. And then they'll fucking get on him for being stupid and whatever. Like, if you don't understand where there's an issue there, then I don't know what to tell you. And if you don't understand where the issue is, listening to these people and letting them generate and dictate your show, then I don't know what to tell you either.